Hello, good morning. Once again, you're on to Bonniehood Farms and Agro Consult, and as you know, we are set to give you value all the time. Okay, and today we are going to be teaching you something very valuable, which will be very useful for every single snail farmer. Okay, and that is, I'll be talking on how to make your snails grow efficiently. All right, now, but you have to understand that there is no chemistry, there is no magic anywhere that will make your snails grow like broiler fowl. Okay, but then there are certain things you can do to ensure that your snails grow efficiently, effectively, with strong shell, and having the ability to expand their shell so their flesh can fill it. Okay, now let me explain to you the reason why snails do not grow very fast. Okay, so most of the time I have calls, people call me and chat me up on my platforms and all that, and they begin to ask me, please, Mr. Bonnie, how do I make my snails grow very fast so I can attain maturity within 3 months? All right, so I mean, it's and I usually tell them, I said, no, it is not possible for your snail to attain maturity in 3 months. 4 months is not possible. All right, because snails are made that way. When I mean snails, I'm talking about the giant African land snails, especially the Achatina marginata species. In fact, let me say all giant African land snails. There is no way you can attain maturity in 3-4 months. Okay, so you have to understand that maturity depends, the way they grow depends on several factors. Okay, some can attain maturity in 8 months, some 9, 10, 11 months. Sometimes you'll be surprised that the same breed of snail, somebody rearing it will attain maturity in 10 months, you are rearing it, and then as at 12 months your snail is not yet matured. In fact, as at 13, 14 months, a year and 1, 2, 3 months, your snail has not attained maturity. Yes, it's very possible. Now, there are factors that controls these scientific experiences. All right, so for you to be able to make your snails grow properly, grow very well, you must understand those basics. These are the foundations that surrounds snail farming generally, that surrounds snail growth principles, that surrounds snail survivability. In fact, one thing you have to know about snail farming is most of the things, or let me say the things that will make the snails grow fast or grow better, okay, are actually the same things that actually make the snails to lay more eggs at its maturity. These are the same things the snails need for their overall well-being. Okay, so you are into the right channel and you are watching the right video if your aim is to achieve a good growth, a progressive growth of your snails to attain maturity at the expected time. So kindly do well to subscribe if this is your first time coming across our channel, and if you're an old subscriber, please share this video with your loved ones, and this will encourage us to do more and give you more value in snail farming industry. So I'll be teaching you proven tips on how you can make your snails grow a bit faster, healthier, and bigger in a shorter time, especially if you want to achieve a better growth and maximize profits. So number one, you have to choose the right breed. First of all, not all snails grow at the same rate. If you are serious about snail growth, go for fast-growing species like the Achatina marginata species. Under the Achatina marginata species, which we usually call the AM, there are 2 major breeds that will grow efficiently for you. One is the Achatina marginata ovum, which we call the AMO or AMO, and the Achatina marginata saturalis, which we call the AMS. These 2 AM breeds are perfect growers, and they do very well when fed and managed in the right way, which I'll be explaining shortly. Especially in Nigerian environment, mostly in Nigerian environment, I recommend these two breeds, this AM breed for farming purposes, because they grow quickly when managed properly and adapt well to several degrees of environmental changes. So that is what you need for a better breed in your farming purposes. So the number 2 factor on how to make your snails grow faster or a bit faster is proper housing. Snail growth depends heavily on several environmental factors, which in most of my videos I've taken my time to talk about a lot of those factors, and most of those environmental factors are key in survival, are key in egg laying, are key also in growth of the snail we're talking about today. So you have to ensure, and we should also know, that snails love good environments for them to do well. So your housing should be able to entail a cool environment, an environment with a good moisture. A dark pen also keeps them active, which enables them to eat and do their activities efficiently. Snails hate too much heat or dryness. In one of the videos I talked about the causes of snail dry out. I talked about the causes of death, and I mentioned that dry out is one of the major causes of snail mortality. So your housing should be able to avoid heat and dry out, else your snails will find it difficult to grow, and which will lead to mortality. In fact, as a matter of fact, once your housing factors are not properly made and your snails stop growing properly, just be rest assured that it will result to severe mortalities. So these are key factors and you don't have to joke with them. If you are using a soil in your system, which you know we use soilless snail farming in Bonniehood snail farms, but if you are using soil system, you have to use a well-drained soil, a soil that when you pour water, a good loamy soil where you pour water, the water should be able to pass through, okay? The water, there should not be waterlogging. And then you have to ensure to be successful in soilless snail farming, and that's one of some of the secrets in basic snail farming in Bonniehood farms. We provide hiding places for the snails. A lot of farmers don't know that. In fact, as a matter of fact, these are some of the major factors of survivability of your snails. You must provide a hiding place for your snails to hide and stay cool. That is their natural conditions they need for effective survival and super growth. And you also have to ensure that your housing is able to maintain about 70 to 90 degree humidity, okay? Because that is what Aschatina marginata snails need to do properly. 70 to 90% humidity. Always have an hygrometer and thermometer in your pens or in your farm environment, so you can monitor these factors to have perfect results for your snails. Because having a proper humidity and controlled temperature reduces stress of your snails and boosts their growth effectively. Alright, so the number 3 factor for effective snail growth is balanced diet. So this is where most farmers get it wrong. A lot of snail farmers just believe that, well, if you have some pawpaw leaf, if you have some fruit peels, if you have some peels and all that, you give to the snails will do well and perform effectively. Well, to an extent we can say yes, but it's not 100% correct. Okay? Now, the point is, snails require certain nutritional requirements for them to do effectively for you. Okay? So, and giving them peels, giving them fruits, giving them let's say potatoes and other leaves and all that you give to your snails. Those food, are they balanced? Well, their food may not be 100% balanced, but there should be a supplement or some level of feed ratio that has a standard value for their nutritional requirements. That will actually help them to do very well. Quite alright, you can feed your snails with fruit, leaves, peels and all that, and the snails can also do properly well to an extent. But if you really want your snails to have a massive growth, you must have a balanced feed, which we call the formulated feed or the feed ratio or the compounded feed. Okay, so having a formulated feed from a reputable farm like the Bonniehood Farms and Agro-Consult, the Bonniehood Snail Farm, is a sure key for you to have good growth. All right, because the balanced diet, you have the required nutrients at the required percentages for your snails to do effectively. So the snails actually will grow faster when they eat right. You get it? Feed them with appropriate calcium supplement, sufficient protein, vitamins and other supplements in the feed. So if all these nutrients are in their balanced ratios in the feed, feeding your snails 2 to 3 times of that formulated feed will help balance up their growth and speed up their activities. In this way, you are bound to have better snail farming experiences and yield massive, impressive growth of your snails. So you're not going to have massive growth by just playing around. It has to do with knowledge. People feel that when they want to do poultry farm, they have to go through knowledge, they have to go through this, go through veterinary medicine, veterinary doctor, go through experts and all that. When they want to do fish farming, they have to go through experts, go through training, go through a lot of that. But when it has to do with snail farm, people feel that you can just keep your snails, keep them anywhere and they will grow and lay their eggs and all that. This is a major reason why a lot of farms fail. The mindset of snail farming is wrong. We see snail farming as something you can just blindly just do anyhow and then you make money. It's not like that. Farmers, those who have started the farm once before and have failed, there are so many of them. If you ask them, they will tell you that it's not as easy as people say it. Okay? And even if you ask an experienced snail farmer, ask him, he will tell you snail farming is not as easy as you see. Until when you go in it, that's when you know that it's a different ball game. It requires experience, it requires patience, it requires understanding, it requires the technical know-how, it requires professionalism, it requires guidance. Okay, until you're able to pick up the rudiments that surrounds the success of snail farming. So don't take snail farming lightly. Don't take it as something you can just do anyhow and go. You can never succeed. There is no successful snail farmer that will tell you that snail farming is A and Z. It's not possible. So after feeding your snails with the right feed, balanced diet, calcium, protein, vitamins and all that, you have to also ensure that you add up also supplement with pawpaw leaves, pumpkin leaves, water leaf, cucumber, crushed eggshell, limestone, oyster shell, clam shells and all that. These are things you do to have good results in your snail farm, to have good growth, and you have to be consistent with these things. All right, but then there are the other side of it too. There are certain fruits that actually invite pests and ants into your farm too. I think I will take my time to make a video of that. I just wish that somebody who have watched this video to this level should remind me on the comment section. I'm going to do a video and list certain foods that kill your snails, certain regular food we give to our snails that are poison to our snails. So just remind me, foods that are bad for our snails. In all, you have to ensure to avoid salty foods, okay, and also avoid heavy starchy foods. All right, so we are good to go on balanced diet. So always go on a good formulated feed. Always have it in your farm. So supplement your feeding of leaves, tubers and all that. That's the way to have good growth of your snails. Alright, so the number 4 factor of good snail growth is cleanliness and disease control. Cleanliness and disease control. You have to clean your pens efficiently, regularly, and as expected when there is need. When you see they are getting dirty, you have to quickly do that, because clean pens result to healthy, fast-growing snails. If your pens are usually dirty all the time or almost dirty, you will have issues of your snails growing efficiently. It will affect their growth, it will retard their growth, and also affect their egg laying and their general well-being. You have to remove leftover food in the morning and regularly clean their feces to prevent bacterial buildup. As the feces and the unclean foods, waste, the debris begin to accumulate, bacteria are going to build up, yeast and fungal infections are going to build up, and they're going to attack your snails. A clean environment helps your snails to focus on growing instead of fighting off diseases. Alright? Because your snails, once they have issue with bacteria here and there, it definitely will affect them, because their immunity, which they're supposed to use in growth and egg laying, they will use it to be combating diseases and as well falling down with severe mortalities. So cleanliness is also one way to ensure that your snails grow effectively. Don't forget these factors I've mentioned to you. The number 5 factor on how to make your snails grow effectively is space and population control, which I'm talking about density, stocking density. Do not overcrowd your snails. Instead of overcrowding them, ensure that the population is lower than expected. Alright? In my ebook, I talked about stocking density in high detail. I talked about in baby snails, in growers, in point of lay, in table sizes, whatever size, how many can be added in a certain level of space. Alright, in the course of this video, I may not be able to discuss that, but you can get that in my ebook, and you know your stocking density, and you can go properly with that. So, too many snails in one pen slows down growth due to competition for food and space, and also their high level of slime accumulation also affect the snail's growth. It retards its growth, alright, slows its egg laying rate, and generally affects its well-being. So you have to ensure that the population is properly controlled, and make sure you understand stocking density before you start snail farming. You can't just get a pen and then pack any number of snails inside and believe that your farm is going to do well. No, it will not. Alright, when we started several years back, these were some of the mistakes we did, and we learned from them in the hard way, and we're able to master those facts. That is the reason why I'm able to come up here and tell you these things, so you can learn and not make the kind of mistakes I did when I was starting out. Alright? Okay, so the last and number 6 factor that encourages snail growth is supplementation. Alright? Supplementation, you can also use commercial snail feed, which I've mentioned before, egg boosters, calcium supplements, certain things you're supposed to add in their feed or giving to them wholly separately to aid their growth. Like in Bonniehood farms, we produce all of these things, produce feed, we produce calcium supplement, we have snail egg boosters. Now, one thing about snail egg booster is that the egg boosters does not just boost the egg, they also boost repair of their damaged cells. It also boosts their growth, also boosts their immunity and their well-being. These are specifically made to accelerate growth and improve shell development. Just make sure they are safe and natural. Just ensure they are organic. Alright? Personally, I don't encourage synthetic materials for snails, so ensure that whatever you give to your snails is organic. Alright? For you to be able to attain a good growth of your snails. Alright, so let me quickly give you a recap of the very important details of this video, and which are: choose the right species, which I've mentioned before, Shorten marginal species for Nigerian environment because they grow big and grow faster, and when encouraged they will grow even more. I also mentioned provide the perfect home environment condition their pen housing to have enough moisture, reduce control, put a hide and this will help their growth. Also talk about population, controlling stock intensity, where I recommended my ebook, where you're going to have a lot of detail on stock intensity. And lastly, I talked about supplementing wisely. All right, talked about supplementing, calcium supplements, egg boosters, but I have to ensure that they are all organic. That is the essence of this video. If you follow all these steps I've recommended, you will see your snails grow faster and even healthier, and it will reduce a lot of mortality in your snail farm. Actually, this video is supposed to be a master class because this kind of knowledge is not usually seen online. Okay, these are sellable knowledges. This is sellable knowledge. Most farmers will put this in their masterclass training where they sell it, not for free, but I'm giving it out for free because I want you all to succeed in a snail farm, especially those of us that have been following Bonniehood farms for several years. Okay, some of you have been following us for up to 6 years, 5 years, just like that. So you have to, this is just like a gift I'm giving to you, and this is the totality of snail farming. Watch this video over and over and over until this knowledge enters you and become part of you. Like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please drop them at the comment section. I'll be happy to reply you. Thank you, and God bless you.